Morning, guys. We're loading up stone right now near Amsterdam, New York. We got to take it about two and a half hours west to a stockyard out there where we got to dump it. And a lot of you guys have been asking me for a how-to video, how to dump a dump trailer. I have a framed dump trailer right now. It's going to be similar to a frameless dump trailer, but not the same. There's going to be some different steps you're going to have to take with a frameless dump trailer. So for today, I'm going to show you how I dump a framed dump trailer. Some of you guys may vary with some of the things I do, and hopefully I don't forget anything, because a lot of the stuff is just habit that I do without even thinking about it. But I'll try to explain everything I do to dump this load of stone when we get out there. So it'll be a little simpler today. The video will be a little simpler today, but a lot of you guys have been asking for this, so I wanted to get this done for you and show you how to do it. And no better day than today. We've got about 4 or 5 trucks ahead of us. And after I dump the stone, I'm going to have to reload in Utica and wait for them to get loaded anyway. So I have some time, I have some good product, some good material in the back that should come out good, so it should be easy to show you this. A wide open parking lot to dump it in, so this should be the best time to do this. So I figured we'd get this out of the way, so you guys hopefully can take some stuff from this video, and for you new guys that are learning how to do it, and kind of give you an idea of what has to be done to be safe and effective, I guess is the word. All right, guys, we're all loaded up. I got to scale out of here. We'll see you when I get there. Before we leave, though, I wanted to mention, while we're at the loading stage of this, getting loaded is important to dumping, because you want to make sure that the product is in the middle of the trailer. And on cold days, today it's 27. I don't think it's going to be cold enough to freeze, and if it does freeze, it's not going to be enough to worry about. But a lot of these tips, you're going to have to take your own judgment, and if you think it's too cold, you might want to put some calcium down in the trailer. Calcium basically just helps it slide out of the trailer. There's a lot of product you use. Calcium's pretty safe. It can go on the ground and not hurt anything. So a lot of times we'll spread some calcium in the bottom of the trailer. It just keeps it kind of greasy and slippery, so things tend not to stick. They still can. They can still freeze if it gets cold enough, but typically that helps. A lot of things, like if you're going to a landfill, or you're loading stuff that isn't clean, like a lot of the dirty dirt we load, we'll put plastic on the bottom of the trailer. That'll also help it from freezing to the bottom, because the sheet of plastic will slide out with everything on top of it. Again, you want it centered in the trailer, so that when the body comes up, it doesn't come up and go crooked, because all the weight is on one side. And that also helps with if one side freezing and one side not. So a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but sometimes, when it's cold enough for product to freeze, you can get half of the trailer to dump and the other half not to dump, and that can be real dangerous, because now all your weight came out of one side of the trailer, and a lot of times if it goes up crooked and half the trailer comes out and the other half is frozen, it can go the other way. So that's all stuff you want to look at, and I wanted to mention now while we were getting loaded, because that's stuff you have to take into consideration before you even get to the dumping part. So just things to remember. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. If I did, I'll try to remember and add it later on. But just some ideas. Again, this isn't going to be I can't make this exactly step for step on what you have to do, and that's going to work every time, because it just isn't. There's different situations, different temperatures, different material. So this will give you a basic idea of things you got to look for, things you got to do. So, all right, scaling out. We'll see you when we get there. right, I'm gonna take you with me, hopefully from beginning to end of this. The very first two things you want to do when you dump a trailer. The first thing is make sure you're level. Make sure everything is completely level. Sometimes you can't get it that way, and there's tips and tricks that you can do to overcome that. And a lot of different material makes a difference too. Like if something was to freeze, you wouldn't want to be unlevel. Like in the summertime, like pea stone or salt or something like that, that'll come out a lot quicker. So sometimes you don't need to be as level, but you should always still try to be 100% level if you can. A lot of guys, if you're nervous, a lot of guys will even take like a pocket level and put it on something flat or on your deck plate even. I mean, it's not going to get you exact, but it could get you hopefully close enough that you could see if you're level. So first thing you do is when you're coming in, as you just saw, I'm looking for spots in the driveway that are low, like a hole here. I don't know if you can see. Everything looks pretty good over here. Everything looks pretty level. Now, not only do you want to make sure that it's sitting level before you dump, but you want to make sure that anything that your tires are going to go in is also level. Because once we dump and the pile fills up back here, we're going to have to roll forward. And you don't want the trailer to drop into something like that. Now you get a little more leeway with a frame trailer because I'm going to have these back 3 axles on the ground. Where a frameless, you're going to be up on the back axle only. So it's going to be more severe if you drop that into a hole. Still, you don't want to drop any of these into a hole. Here's a good example. I don't know if you could see, this isn't enough that would probably do anything wrong, but you could see that hole right there. I don't know if you can or not, but if I was dumping back there, dumped, and everything was up in the air, and then I rolled into that hole, that could cause problems. And there's a lot more to it that you'll learn over time, but like if you put this in the air and the front half sticks, so if like from here to the front still had material frozen or stuck because it was clay or mud or something like that, that could be real dangerous because now you have no weight on the back of the trailer and all your weight is in the front. And sometimes, rarely, but there's sometimes that a trailer can flip over one way or the other and be completely level just because of the weight distribution of what's happening. So if this was all the way up in the air, one half of the front came out and one half of it didn't, it's not always going to happen. You don't have to worry about it completely, but there is times that could actually flop the truck over itself even on level solid ground. Now that's another good thing to bring up is solid ground. This is frozen, solid, hard right here. There's nothing that I have to worry about. But in a landfill, sometimes you can back up and be completely level like this, but under one side of the trailer, say, because they use like mulch and different things to cover the garbage in a landfill. So you could back up to a completely level area, and when the weight comes back and distributes to the back of the trailer, you can put more weight on that soft mulch and it can start to go down without you even knowing it. Landfills are tough because that's hard to even know. You don't even know that. Everything looks solid. There's different things you can look at. I mean, you can see if it's sinking in, if it's that bad, but not only always can you see that. So I think that's about it. Oh, the second thing that I mentioned of the two that are most important is wires. You're looking for wires too before you put this up, because remember, you're going to put this in the air and you're going to have to go forward with it to get the material out. You don't have to. If you're in a situation where you can't do that, you can put it back down, move ahead beyond the wires, or park different so that you can get around the wires. But all in all, what you're doing is looking for wires so that you don't put this up into wires and you don't move forward into wires. So whatever you got to do to stay away from wires, that's important. I would say number one is being level. Number two is wires. You don't want to screw up on either one of those, but I would say being level is the number one thing to look at. So now everything's level here. I opened the tarp a little bit. A lot of product you don't have to. Like salt, I probably wouldn't have to because it's going to slide out before the tarp before it does anything to tarp. But if you're hauling like metal or rocky stuff or stuff with stumps in it, you're going to want to open that up so that when it falls, it doesn't tumble over and rip your tarp. Sometimes like steel trailers where the tailgate opens up on hydraulics or air, that can rip your tarp. So those you usually always want to move up a couple of feet so you don't rip it off. But I think we're good and level. There's no wires around. Everything looks good there. Let me grab my gloves and we'll drop the trailer, get the door open, and I'll show you the rest. All right, so I got my gloves. Now the first thing we're gonna do, and I try to do this the same every single time, and some of this is gonna differ. Different trailer brands are gonna do different things. and switches are going to be in different places, and stuff's going to be different. But this is an East trailer. This will give you a basic idea how to do things. So now in this box, I'm going to open up one-handed, of course. You're going to drop your suspension. First thing you want to do is get everything down. It's going to change your center of gravity. It's going to lower that. So now when the trailer's up, it's not going to be, it's still going to be tippy, but it just takes away a little bit of that. And it also puts the frame, it makes everything more rigid. If it was on the air suspension, it can get wobbly and tippy because it's riding on air. So you want to take that out. Also, if this all comes out at one time, sometimes you can blow airbags. If they're underweight, this goes up, the material all comes out real quick, and the airbags try to pump the trailer up fast. You can screw them up. So you always, the next most important thing after wires and level is you want to lower your suspension. And now on this trailer, I'm going to open the tailgate. I hope I'm holding this camera so you can see all that. Now the second thing, not always, some material you don't have to, and if different setups on different trailers make this different. But I'll always put the mud flaps up. That way when the material comes out, it's not going to pinch it against the tire and rip them off. It just that's not so much a safety thing, but it's, you know, just saves you some trouble. So what I got under here, each trailer is different, but there's a hook here, and I just drill a hole through the mud flap and put a zip tie here. The zip ties break over time, but it is what it is. So there's Randy. He's gonna do the same thing. He's got a frameless trailer. Maybe someday I'll show you the frameless, how to do a frameless. I don't know much about frameless trailers. I ran one for a little while, but there's a little bit of difference. Okay, so they're up. Everything's up, everything's level, the suspension's out, and you can tell because the mud flap's on the ground. Also, another trick, if you're unsure, come back here and you can actually push in on the airbags. That's how you know there's no air at them. So if you want to double check and you're nervous about it, you can check that right there. Now we're going to open this up. This just tightens everything up. A lot of times this helps keep things watertight. And we're going to open this up. What this does, this switches, there's a pin up top there, and if you want this tailgate to open, like swing open, you would leave that down and pull this pin out right here, and then it can swing up. But we do the barn door in case we got rocks or frozen material or something. A little easier on the. So now we got this up, so that pin is good. Let's see, that pin is down now so that can swing open. Am I thinking that right? I don't know if I'm backwards. We open this up there on the air box, if you remember, and we got this off. So now this should open no problem. The suspension's out. Now you want to be careful when you do this, because now this is stone, so it shouldn't be an issue. A lot of things aren't a big deal, like salt and stuff. But when you open this, a lot of times things are going to be up against this door. So you want to give this a tug and then get out of the way, because if there was boulders or rocks or stumps or something like that, it could come down on you. You want to watch where this is swinging. Now I know there's enough room between me and Randy's truck, but that's another thing you want to watch out for, because when you open this up, sometimes if there's something big in there, it can throw that door around, and you don't want it slamming on the side of the trailer, for one, and you also don't want it hitting anything next to you, a building or a parked vehicle or something like that. Now here's something to look at. You're going to notice, see how this top layer is hard like that? Now this isn't a big deal, and this is what I was saying earlier. I think I was saying something about freezing. You could tell that this is starting to freeze, how that top layer sticks like that. I don't know if you can notice around in the camera. Sometimes this stuff can stick solid, right hard, and it either won't come out all at the same time, or half of it will come out. But either way, that's something you got to watch for. Calcium, like I was saying earlier, on the bottom, I think I said that earlier, sometimes you use calcium to keep stuff from freezing. On the plastic liner will let this all slide out a lot easier. That's why you use that. And also plastic, like poly or plastic, to line the floor, that'll help with that too. So now we got the door open. The material's pretty well straight in there. That's good. That's the importance of when you're loading. Stuff you got to watch out for when you're loading that also has to do with your unloading. So we're going to bring the door around. Now these trailers are all different. Some of them have a hook up here, like a Trailstar has a hook up here. Some are down here. They're all different. So let's see if I can do this one-handed. Under here, I don't know if you're going to be able to see, especially one-handed. Let me set you up, hang on. Now you pull that through there, and you want it about as tight as you can get. I could get it another link or two, but you want it about as tight as you can get it, because anything more hanging off this side is going to give more weight to this side of the trailer, to the passenger side of the trailer. Let's see if we could catch Randy's material coming out, and I show you what I mean. See how he's got to roll forward to keep the material out? He does a good job. He keeps it out of the rim, but he's rolling forward. Now you got to watch up there. That's what I was saying about the wires and the level and the frameless. He's got a frameless. I'll have to show you sometime, maybe on his truck. But as this is rolling, he could roll that into a hole, which I normally wouldn't be standing here, but I know it's level here, and Randy knows what he's doing. So now that that's all the way forward, he's good to go. Now let's look in the back and see. Everything came out clean, so it must not be frozen too bad. So that's kind of a little idea, simple idea of a frameless trailer, how it works, and it also gives you an idea of how it rolls forward and the material comes out. Now something else too that you have to be aware of in this situation, I just thought of, I should have said this in the beginning, but I just noticed it with him pulling forward. All this is ice. My tractor tires are on that ice. My trailer tires are not on that ice. So typically you would lock the tractor brakes, put this up in the air, unlock them, and roll forward. In this case, I'm going to want to lock the trailer brakes because they're on dry material. When this all comes out, there's so much mass that comes out at one time, it can push you forward. And if this is on ice, you can go for a ride real fast. Not a huge deal because it's level out through here and there's nothing that you're going to hit. But in a situation where that happens, it's going to push you forward fast, and you could drop something in a hole, either the trailer or the tractor. That goes for the hole in the ground thing. That goes for the tractor too. That can make a big difference too. You don't want that dropping in a hole. So now I'm gonna go up here, just double check. We got the trailer good. The suspension is out of the trailer. The door is open. Everything is level. The tarp is open. We checked for holes on the ground. We checked for wires. Everything is level. Everything is good. So now just to show you guys, I would normally know that that's enough. But just to show you guys, I'm going to come up here without getting hit by Randy if we can help it. And we're going to try to look, everything looks level right here. You can look down, you can use the bumper. Sometimes it's not fail-safe, but you could sometimes use the bumper. Just looking for level. Everything looks pretty level. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be spot on, but you want it as close as you can get it and as close as you feel comfortable. Now that everything's done, we check for level, wires, and all that, and the trailer is all set to go. I'm gonna jump in the truck. We'll catch you in a minute, and I'll show you what you gotta do in there. Okay, that's all ready. Now let's get in the truck. We'll do this part. This is gonna differ on all your trucks. Everything, this could be really different on all trucks. Sometimes the PTO switch is in a different location. Sometimes the control for the trailer is in a different location. But this will give you a basic idea. Now the first thing I do when I get in the truck is remember to put your suspension down in the truck too. It's usually marked with that symbol. It's pretty self-explanatory. It just shows the back of the truck going down in the picture. So that's the first thing you want to remember to do, is put that down. So now the trailer is down, the truck is down, everything is level. Another thing too, you want to try to be as straight as you can. This isn't a must, but you typically want the truck and the trailer as straight as you can. And the reason for that is I'll show you. When I look in the mirror, I want to watch that trailer go straight up. I've showed you this in one of the other videos, but like, if you can see how, where are we here? See how we're like the side of the mirror and the trailer. Get an eye for where that is, and then as that trailer goes up, you can watch in the mirror how straight it is. Now luckily, I have a back window that helps, and I can watch it through that. So that's a big deal too. That's a big help. But sometimes you can't look at that. So keeping the truck straight helps with that a lot. It's not always going to happen that way. Sometimes you're going to have to dump crooked. And that's another thing with frameless trailers. That's something that you don't typically want to dump crooked with a frameless trailer, which I'll explain more in a different video. But in a frame trailer, it's not such a big deal, but it's definitely something you want to try to stay straight. So now, we got the suspension down. I'm going to push my foot in on the clutch. I'm going to then put this in A gear, any gear, and then pull it back out. With my foot still on the clutch, I'm going to turn the PTO on. That just keeps it from grinding the gears for the PTO. You don't have to do that. You should do that to keep things from wearing and tearing. But all right, so now we're in neutral again. The PTO's on, the suspension's down. I'm going to let my foot off the clutch. I'm going to jump out. You typically want to stay in the truck for this, but I'm going to jump out to show you. I know I'm safe. I know what I'm doing, so I know if something's going to happen. But you can never be too careful. But in an effort to show you this, I want to jump out of the truck because my controls are down here by my left leg. So the PTO's going. Oh, see? You got to be careful. This is a different situation than normal. I also want to lock the trailer brakes because remember what I told you, the trailer is on dry material and I don't want this to slide forward. I'm going to get back in the truck before it gets up that high anyway. I just want to show you this. Everything is all set. PTO is running, suspension's down, brakes are set the way I want them, everything is good to go. So now, this floor is dirty. We're going wonderful winter time. Can't keep nothing clean. Okay, well here's my tarp switch, just in case you were curious, but that doesn't. Now, pull up on this with your PTO going, put it in the back, in the up position. Now back here, I'll watch this through my back window, but right here, while I'm showing you guys, I watch this come off of the frame, and a lot of times you can see, if this comes off the frame, and it goes one way or the other, a lot of times that's a good sign that something's uneven. And you're gonna wanna put it back down, move around, back up, do what you gotta do to get level. Don't let anybody rush you right now. This is all on you. That people are gonna be trying to push you and move you out of the way, and there's gonna be lines of trucks waiting, loaders, dump truck, everything around. This is on you to take your time and make sure everything is 100% right, and do not let anyone rush you through this process. So this is going up, everything's going straight. Another thing you can do too out the back window, especially in a day cab, is you can watch this ram, this hydraulic ram. It's gonna be hard to show because this is all in the way. This hydraulic ram up in there, they call that the dog house, that opening up in there. You can watch this go off if it's gonna be crooked. You can watch that ram will be closer to one side than the other, or vice versa. So that's something to look at too. Now the material's starting to come out in the back really slowly. You probably can't see it. But I'm gonna get back in the truck so I get my foot near the brake if I need to. I shouldn't because everything's locked up. But while we're waiting, I don't know if you can see through the dirty mirrors or not, but I'm watching everything, make sure it all goes up straight, which is no issue here because this is all pretty straight. So this is a safe way to do it with your brakes all set and everything good. What I'm gonna do, because I've done this enough to know, I'm gonna put my foot on the brake pedal and hold it pretty hard and release all my brakes. That way, again, I don't know if you could see, but that way as that material starts to come around the rims, I could slowly let my foot off the brake. I don't know if you could see, you probably can't see, I'm not even gonna bother. You know what a brake pedal looks like when you let your foot off of it. And I'm gonna roll forward. Now as I'm rolling forward, I'm watching that trailer. Now that we're forward enough, let's set the brakes. I'm watching that trailer to make sure that it's going up straight. Now it's all the way up. So I set this control back to the middle position. Now, if you're nervous, or if you're in an area where there's holes or wires, you could put the body back down right now, move forward, and then check everything back there. I know there's no wires, I know there's no holes, so we know that's set. So I'm gonna roll forward a little bit. Don't forget to turn off your PTO. Don't put your suspension back up yet because we're gonna be moving with this body in the air. Now I'm only gonna be moving a little bit. And I'm stuck. Get this forward a little bit. You be careful doing this because even though you're empty, you don't want to flop that trailer. And it can move, You'll see them moving around a little bit in your mirror, but you don't want them to move too much, obviously. Okay. I'm gonna put the body back. Actually, I'll show you now just for the sake of showing you how this is done. We'll go back here. See how the tires all came up to a level spot? There was no... sometimes you have to use material to fill in spots in front of your tires. There's a lot of tricks you guys will learn as you go. So now we're gonna see what happened here if everything came out. Everything came out. So nothing froze to the edges. A lot of times these aluminum trailers, you get stuff frozen on the sides and the middle will come out. But now looking up at this, if this had half the load, let's see, am I showing you right? If half this trailer still had material on it and the other half was empty, you can have big issues even on level ground, and this could all flop to where that weight is. So that's what I was saying, you want to be careful. So now let's go. Now that we know this is empty, we're far enough away from the pile that we can swing the door closed. We're gonna go up here and get the body going down. So same as before, just we got the PTO off already. We're just gonna throw that lever in the forward position. Again, that stuff I probably don't have to show you because all trucks are gonna have different levers, different controls. The PTO switch is gonna be a different place, but that's the idea. So now you got this coming down. Now don't panic if it comes down slow. When it's cold like this, everything is stiff. And a lot of times it's gonna come down slow. Sometimes too, if there's air in the line, it can come down slow too. So in that case, you just want to tighten this up a little bit. Sometimes if this isn't tight enough, and you see, I don't even know if I'm showing you the stuff I'm pointing out. Sometimes you want to tighten that up. So now we got this coming down. We're gonna wait, for the sake of this video, I'm gonna wait until it gets all the way down, then I'm gonna raise the suspension. But typically at this point, I'd be going back through the trailer, getting my suspension up, getting the door swung around shut, getting everything buttoned up. And usually by the time I'm done with that, the body is just getting down. I can get back in the truck, make sure the switch isn't thrown. You gotta be careful when these get all the way to the bottom. Sometimes, not always, like this trailer doesn't do it, but sometimes when they come all the way to the bottom, if you leave this switch or this lever in the down position, sometimes they can leak over, blow hydraulic fluid out. So, but I haven't had that issue. But I don't know if you could see, I should have showed you when it was up. Maybe you saw it in the earlier part, but this is with the suspension out. Everything comes down, everything sets down on the ground. It makes everything more rigid, and it takes away the wobble of the air suspension. So now this trailer is down enough. If you're nervous, you can let it go all the way down to the bottom. Again, don't rush. Don't let anybody rush you or push you around. You do what makes you comfortable. I'm gonna go to the truck, get my suspension building back up, because it takes a minute. So that's the switch that we use to put it down. You just put it the other way. The light usually goes off. Some of them don't have a light, some of them do. Some of them are set up different, but in this one, the light goes off, the switch goes the opposite way. Now this is gonna build back up. I don't know if you can see it coming up, I guess so. But anyway, that's what that does. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory, but some people don't know, you know? Some people wanna see what this is about. So, this is coming down. Now at this point, because it's low enough that I'm not worried about it tipping one way or another, I can get suspension back in the system with that one. Now here, since we're gonna be empty and running down the thruway for a little ways, this axle is on a switch in this truck. This is gonna be, again, this will be different in all of them. This axle is on a switch in the truck. These two axles also come up, this one and this one, but they work off of this box. You can wire them into the truck, but it's a lot when I can just do it here. So since we're gonna be empty, we don't need to be wearing out these tires and the brakes and everything. We're gonna bring up the third and the second lift axle. So now as the air suspension comes up, these are gonna start coming off the ground. I don't know if you can see. And that one too. And again, this one is up already from the switch. This brings me to another point that you have to be careful of. When you drop the suspension on these, even with these three axles up, or with this front axle up, sometimes when you roll forward, you got it up in the air, you roll forward, this isn't that high off the ground. It looks high now because the suspension is filled, but when this is out, this is down to like here, which is fine. It gets it off the ground. You want that up in the air so it makes everything more sturdy. But that can hang up on things. So if you're cresting over a hill while you're dumping, which does happen sometimes, it doesn't have to be much, or like a windrow of dirt or something like that, and that hits that, that's going to change your whole center of gravity. That could be real dangerous if all the weight goes on this axle, even when it's up. Because now you're taking the weight off of this and you're putting the center of gravity in the middle and your body's up in the air. That's stuff you got to be careful. That's also stuff you're looking for. I guess I should have mentioned that in the beginning. It kind of comes with me constantly scanning the ground around the trailer. You're looking for those windrows, wires, holes, all that. But that's stuff to look for too. Let me go get my gloves. We'll get this buttoned up. We'll clean out the rims. I didn't move forward quite fast enough, and I got some in there, so I want to get that out of there so it doesn't ride around in a circle while I'm going down the road and scratch the rims. Over time, that just happens, and I got to get the mud flaps down. So I'll catch you in a second when I get my gloves. All right, I got my gloves on. We're going to go back and do the back part of the trailer now that everything is down. Best you can, you want to try to get this stuff out if you can help it. This is just for the looks of things. You just don't want to ruin the rims and get them all scratched up. We're going to unhook this. Get that down where it goes. We're going to unhook this one. Like that. Now the mud flaps are done. Now I'm going to come around to my door. Slide this over, see that, and out. That's it. Now this, you want to hook up in a way that it's not going to scratch your trailer. I mean, some people don't need to know this information or care about this stuff, but just so you know. Now we're going to shut this. Sometimes you got to give this a little slam so that it gets in here. Now what I do, everybody's different. Some people do this first, some people do everything different. What I do is, now that it's in this stage, I'm going to come up here to our box again, to the control box, and now at this point I'm going to close the tailgate. Now we're done in here. The middle axles are up, the front axle's up on the switch in the truck, the suspension is filled, everything's good, the tailgate's locked. Now there's more to do, but that's it for the box. So now up here, now that this is closed, it's pulled this in the rest of the way. Now we're going to close this up. This is going to tighten up a little bit more after you lock this. This gets a lot harder with one hand. Hold on. There. Now that's down. Everything is good. This is locked. This is locked. These are down. The suspension is up. The middle axles are up. The front axle's up on the trailer. The tractor suspension's up. The only thing we have left to do now that I could think of, again, I'm probably going to miss a bunch of stuff and things that I should have said in this video. And if you guys come up with any other ideas that I'm missing, even if other people don't follow them or whatever, at least put them in the comments so that other people can pick and choose some information that they need. Because again, everybody is not going to do it the same way as I do it, but this is basically how I do it. If you're new, it gives you some ideas of things to look out for, and how to do some things in the safest way I think is possible. A good point to remember, now I've done this a while, so I'm running this camera doing this, but I'm being extra careful because anything that changes your routine can really screw this up. And this is why I say, when I back up to a pile and somebody tries to open my gate, I appreciate that they try to do that. I appreciate they're trying to help me, but it messes with my routine. My routine was all messed up today because I'm doing this, but typically I'll start here, I'll move back to the mud flaps, I'll open that up, swing this open, go back up to the truck, do this, the suspension in the truck, the PTO, put it up in the air, and I do everything the same way over and over. So when somebody tries to help me, it kind of screws me out, doesn't really help me. So again, to double check, the suspension's back up, the door's closing that, suspension's back up, mud flaps are down, locked, that's tight, these are locked, everything is good here. Product came out clean, everything's nice. The tractor is up. I gotta shut my door. Now when I get in, I'm gonna shut this tarp back all the way. You don't have to, you can run down the road with that tarp open, but it screws up your, you can feel it. You can feel the wind going into the trailer. And also sometimes they can they can whip a little bit more, especially these type of tarps. And you never want to run down the road with it half open, because wind somehow, I don't know, don't ask me how, but somehow wind gets under there and can really rip them off either. So either want them open or shut. And typically when I'm going to be going at highway speed, 65, 70 miles an hour, I want it shut so that the wind can't whip these bunches that are up there, each one of them bunches, just to help. So that's dumped. We're gonna get in. I'm gonna shut this tarp and we're gonna get out of here. And that's that. I'll do another video with a frameless trailer if you want. It's a lot of the same, but there is a couple things that are different you got to watch out for. I can do that video if you want, and I can also do a video maybe sometime if I could find somebody that's patient enough with these cameras and stuff, it doesn't mind being on the cameras, to let me talk like this while somebody's loading me, to show you the importance of getting loaded and the poly and the calcium and all that stuff. But there's plenty more time for videos like that. But I know a lot of you guys have been asking for videos about how to dump a dump trailer. I wanted to get that out, and I thought this was the perfect time because I have a wait ahead of me anyway to get loaded. So that's going to be it for the video today, guys. Sorry I'm not showing you all the camera angles and the getting loaded and pulling in and this and that, but I wanted to at least show you how to do that so I can get you started. If you have any questions, get a hold of me on Instagram, get a hold of me on YouTube. I'll try to answer them best I can. Some of the comments are getting a little too much, like not too much personally, but like there's too many for me to keep up with, so I try to get back to all of them, but sometimes I can't. But again, leave comments if you have different ways you do it. Nobody's wrong, nobody's right. As long as you don't flop the thing over, you're safe, you're efficient, everything comes out and everything is still on its tires when you're done. You did a good job and you didn't rip any wires down. But everybody has different ways. If you want to put them in the comments, that's great. But anyway, that's it, guys. That's all I could think of, unless I might add something if I could think more later on. But for now, that's all I could think of. We put the trailer up, I showed you how to do that, and we put it back down and we closed it up. So thanks for watching, guys. It'll be a quick one, and probably catch you next week for a normal video. Thanks again, guys. Oh, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, like the video. It really helps. The comments help. Every time you do that, it makes YouTube put the video out further and further onto their site. I don't know just how that all works, but that's all I know. So let's go. Headed to Utica, gonna load up, and that's gonna be that. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
I'm like woo-woo. The one my heart has gone to me, now won't you wait, 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 wait.
Who says truck drivers sit all day? Start a YouTube channel. It'll be fun, they said. Yeah, real fun.